Hi, Dr. Ariane from the Movement Paradigm. Have you seen on social media the latest detox diet? So 3 days to detox your body. Unfortunately, it is not that simple. And we want to take into consideration our toxic burden, our total toxic load, and how this affects to our chronic health conditions and how we're feeling on a day-to-day basis. So we're going to dive in. We are exposed to so many toxins on a day-to-day basis. For example, before a woman leaves the house in the morning, and she puts on average 168 different chemicals on her body. But for men, it's 86. That's according to the Environmental Working Group. And for female teenagers, it's even greater because of all the extra products that they might be using. Not to mention the glyphosate that is in all of our wheat products, our GMOs, the pesticides that are used, our cleaning chemicals that we're exposed to, all of our personal care products. So we are exposed to so many toxins that we have in and around our environment, but let's not forget things that we're putting in our body. So the foods that we're eating that can have processed ingredients, chemicals, toxins. Rice, for example, has very high amounts of arsenic. We can be exposed to lead and so on. So there's so many things that we are exposed to that some of which we can control, I believe a lot of it, and some of it we can't control 100%. So just to be clear on the definitions, so we have a toxin, which is actually a poison made by a human organism, and then we have a toxicant, which is actually synthetic and man-made. So our total toxic load equals our total toxic exposure minus the ability to biotransform and excrete toxins or toxicants. So in essence, if we have increased toxic burden and we have all these toxins that we're exposed to and we are constipated, so we're not able to excrete, if we are not drinking enough water to be able to excrete through our urine, then we are going to increase that total toxic load on our body. Now, everyone's ability to detoxify is unique. So this is very important because that is why certain people can be exposed to things their whole lives. They could smoke, they could drink, and not have anything happen to them. And then other people make all the right choices and unfortunately they may end up with a chronic health condition. So we have to factor that into our equation of how toxins are going to affect each person. So this dysfunction that we're referring to, meaning that you're not able to excrete as well and biotransform and you are having high toxic exposure, is really going to affect susceptible people, and that is what can lead to chronic illness. Okay, so who can be susceptible? This could be anybody that has nutrient deficiencies, that has increased exposure to toxicants, that has some type of intestinal dysbiosis, so this imbalance of beneficial and bad bacteria. Somebody that is undergoing a tremendous amount of stress, this can also factor in. Somebody that is getting inadequate protein, that is eating a lot of highly refined carbohydrates, and of course, genetics. And the other thing that we want to mention as it relates to detoxification is our liver is in fact our major detoxification organ. Now, we have two phases of our detoxification. We have phase 1 and phase 2. And sometimes what happens when people are trying to do their own detoxification plans is they may, for whatever they're doing, they may upregulate that phase 1 detoxification. But if they are not supporting phase 2 detoxification with all of the specific nutrients and managing stress and sleep and so on, then you can end up making the body much worse. And so we want to factor in, you could be detoxifying from something like mold or lead or arsenic, so heavy metals. But you could also be detoxifying from other things like you've eaten a really poor diet most of your life, standard American diet. So there's lots of ways that this could take form, but we want to remember that there's different phases of detoxification. There are specific nutrients that support phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. So if you are not supporting those detoxification pathways, you can once again become much worse and feel very sick and ill. And it should very much be regulated with a health practitioner. This is something we do in 3 days. It is something that you really make sure you're looking at all aspects of a person's health and factor in everything. so that you can do it in a safe and effective way. So what are some things that you can do to really promote healthy detoxification? Number one is reducing your toxic burden. So what I would recommend is starting with going to the Environmental Working Group, ewg.org website, and beginning to evaluate some of your products that you use, so your cleaning chemicals, your personal care products, and determine how these things are rated. If they're rated really high, begin to do a search of how you can replace those, maybe one by one. Keep it slow, steady, and so it doesn't seem overwhelming. But this could be one of the biggest things and most important. So you can't detoxify if you still have such a high toxic load. Number two is, if possible, choose organic. So you can use the Clean 15 Dirty Dozen guide that is also on the EWG website that you can use as a reference to determine what foods are more important to get organic than that aren't. Number three is addressing your constipation. So if you are constipated, meaning you are not going to the bathroom at least once a day, if not twice, and if it doesn't look like a little ball, so that's type 1 on the Bristol stool chart, you want to make sure that you have healthy bowel movements consistently, because that is one of our main ways to detoxify. So once again, you have to make sure you address that's one of the number one things I address right away with patients is constipation. Number four is drinking enough water. Is this the only thing that you should do? No, but I do want to emphasize the importance of this because we also excrete through our urine. So if you are well hydrated, you are going to be urinating more frequently, which is absolutely going to contribute to healthy detoxification. Number five is eating a rainbow. This is perhaps one of the most important things. And the reason for this is that eating a rainbow is actually an art and a science. So each specific color of the rainbow is actually contributing to very specific phytonutrients. These phytonutrients are actually supporting the phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification pathways. So if you are just consuming a multivitamin, are you getting some of it? Possibly, but not to the extent that you'll be getting if you're actually eating whole foods. So in the detoxification program that I do through Institute of Functional Medicine, it offers many, many therapeutic foods, and the goal is actually to focus on eating more of those colors. So eating a rainbow every day, having a little checklist to see how many you're actually getting in. Number six is actually paying attention to your cooking preparation. So if you are doing high heat cooking, this can contribute to AGEs, advanced glycolytic end products. This could be something that contributes to things like oxidative stress and inflammation. So we really want to think about how you're preparing food. So for example, cooking with olive oil is not a high heat cooking oil. So therefore it can actually contribute to inflammation. And olive oil is such a great food and a powerful food that we want to include, but think about putting that on a salad or so on. Or avocado oil is a high heat cooking oil, so that could be more appropriate as an example. In summary, you may need to detoxify from various things. My advice is to seek out a professional that can help guide you and support you, and make sure you're doing this in a very, very healthy way, because some detoxification programs might be much more serious than someone else's. So you really want to make sure that you are doing it in a way that you're going to feel healthy and be able to continue your journey moving forward in health versus feeling awful and then even setting yourself back. So I hope this was helpful just to give you an overall idea of detoxification. If it was, give it a like or a share, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Movement Paradigm, for weekly tips on mindset, nutrition, and movement.